All right, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about leveling up your static group. So you want to level fast. First things you need to do, don't troll me, noob cake. You need to determine your group composition, okay? Now, over here, I have a little sample composition. You really, if you want to level as fast as possible, or you want to race for like one of the first few groups to 50, you don't want to deviate from this composition too much, especially if we're looking at like a classic launch. You need a cleric, 100%. There's other healing options. They're almost always worse for leveling speed. So I would go with cleric. You need an enchanter. You just need it. Beyond the CC, the charm pet is going to be like 50% of your whole group's DPS. Then I would recommend mage, necro. Depending on your route, it could be somewhat disadvantageous to have the necro, but even when you're not doing undead charms on your route, they have snare and a few other good abilities that make them pretty worthwhile. And in a pinch, your necro can like be the puller. They have feign death and everything. And then this 6th slot is what I call the carry slot. These are the classes that I would recommend you slot into your carry slot. Generally, this 6th slot is going to be your puller. So no matter which class it's going to be in this list, they should be the ones pulling. A warrior, a shadow knight, paladin, a bard, a monk. Most of those are tank classes. The monk a little bit DPS and the bard utility. The bard actually has a lot of awesome pulling capability anyway, so obviously they pull. And they're the only person here who's going to run faster than the store run speed potions. So they'll pull more quickly than the other options. They bring a lot to the table. It doesn't really matter so much which one you pick. If you were like, we're going to be the first group no matter what, like number 1, you actually would drop the carry spot and you would fill it with another mage or enchanter or necromancer, depending on what your route is going to look like, okay? So this is your composition. And everyone in this group should understand that you guys are not going to break up the group pretty much no matter what. They got to be people you don't hate because you're going to be with them for a long time. Second enchanter would be really good for this spot, but you have to balance it a little bit, because one of the big things you need to do early on is break out of the curve. The enchanter is very slow 1 through 11 before they get that charm spell. Once they get charm, full steam ahead, right? But you could get stuck in a spot where you have to slog through a few groups in between you and the top spot, occupying bottleneck camps if you were like a little too slow out of the gate. I have a strategy for that, but no need to discuss it here. Anyway, this is the general group composition that I would say. So get people who are going to agree to whatever your time frame is. I find it best to agree on specific amounts of time. Like you'll have a group that either says like, hey, we're going to go 24/7. No matter what, we're going to find a way to keep the group full and EXPing the whole time. Maybe you're boxing each other. Don't ban me, Daybreak. Maybe you're boxing each other. Maybe you're using Parsec. Maybe people are subbing in for other people as they take naps. Or maybe you guys just Iron Man mode it and stay up. Then you have like the next tier down is like, we're going to do 20 on, 4 off. Every 20 hours, you sleep for 4 hours. Easy one. That's actually really doable for like an extended period of time. If you were getting a server that had like Finny EXP rates, that might be the way to go, because you're going to have to do multiple 20-hour sessions, like 5 maybe 20-hour sessions to get to max level. Then you want to pre-stage your UI/your loot. Let me tab over here really quick. Yeah, so okay. In your files, let me boost this up. This is probably too small. In your file system, you're going to see in the Everquest folder something that says like this, like I'll have a Zaide_Agnar, because that's the server I played on and that's a character name I had. So for you, it'll be character name _ server name. You want to take that, and as soon as you find out what the next server is going to be, maybe it's called the Kanos server, right? You would make it, okay, I'm going to make my whole UI perfectly, right? Exactly how I want it on Agnar. And then I'm going to change the file to say Zaide_Kanos. Now when I log in to Kanos for the first time, or, you know, in my example over here, TLP 2021, when I log into that server for the first time, my UI is already exactly what I want it to be instantly, the moment I come in. And you can do the same thing with your advanced loot files and everything. So go ahead and set that up before you start. You want to make vendor tables. So check this out. We know we're going to have a mage, right? So look at my mage vendor table. This has every spell that we might want, including some that we'll probably filter out, you know, later on. But for right now, this is a pretty robust list. It's got the spell name, the zone you buy it, the vendor you buy it from, and the exact cost. It's important to write all this down because you're not going to be buying your own spells. Usually one member of the group is going to do a little trick, right, that you're probably familiar with, where you bind at the group, you origin home, you buy the spells, and then you gate back. Ideally, even better, what you do is you have a box that buys all the spells for everybody, and then they go to the origin point, immediately trade all the spells to whoever origined, and it's just like a boom, 3-second process to origin and gate back. So have your list of all your vendor crap ready to go for all your classes. So that's the spell delivery and everything. If you have certain spells that you do not get in your home place, like mages have to get some spells from Ocean of Tears, enchanters have some spells at High Keep. I don't know that we care about those spells. I don't remember. Make sure you have a way to coordinate that. Ideally, someone with a box or someone outside the group is going and hunting those spells down for you, so you don't have to lose any time from the grind. Plan for sleep, already talked about that. Practice. Okay. Leveling route. Yeah, we skipped that one. So let's look at a leveling route. You want to have a really hard set leveling route, and you want to do your absolute best to not deviate from it. Because when you're in a spot and you feel like, oh man, this EXP kind of sucks, it's slow, we should move somewhere else. Once you start fishing for better spots, you really start falling behind for 2 reasons. Usually the other spots are actually not better, unless you have hard data that backs it up. And the other reason is that anytime you're traveling, you're not killing things, which means you're not getting EXP, you are falling behind. So let's look at our leveling route. This is actually not an incredible leveling route, but if you're willing to buy a race change potion, it could be pretty strong. So this is our sample leveling route. You start in Kanos. So that first level, literally just from level 1 until you ding 2, you're fucking around in North Kanos, killing random mobs. Or you can exploit the bar quest in South Kanos. More on that at another time. But you could pretty much, in like 2 minutes, exploit a quest in South Kanos to level up to 2. As soon as you get level 2, your mages get their new pet, their level 2 pet. You take that group with all the mages and stuff, and you immediately go to Blackburrow at level 2. You go to Blackburrow for the Zem, and you start rolling through the zone. As soon as you hit 11, you guys are going to race change to human again, but start in Freeport, and then you're going to run directly to Upper Guck. On the way there, remember in South Row, there's a zone line in like the middle right corner to Takish His. On a TLP launch, that zone is not active. So when you jump in there, it automatically ports you to the Inithul zone line. Right by Inithul. So you just jump in there, boom, you're instantly at Inithul. If you want, you can go to the Eldon camp. Everything will be gone except the Soul Binder. So you can bind really quick there. Not all your classes will have bind yet. So bind there, boom, run in, go to Guck. Your first camp in Guck is going to be spiders, and then you're just going to work your way through charming shit and clearing all the way to the El Guck zone line. As soon as you get 25, that's when you get a mage pet spell. Most of our camp movements are based on enchanter, charm ability, or mage pet benchmarks. So El Guck, you get a new mage pet spell. That's when you bust in and start bedroom. And then you stay there until about 44. Maybe you could leave as early as 42 because El Guck gets a little bad in the 40s. And you start Ocean of Tears goblins. Hopefully you're saving research materials this whole way, because at 46, you need to be able to get Arc, what's the spell? I'm forgetting it. Allure. You need to get Allure, and that's the only way you can charm Zoo. Ali Zoosaur, the big dinosaur on Goblin Island. So you get that. If you are the first group with Allure, if you're the first group at level 46 on Goblin Island in a classic rush, you pretty much have it won unless you do something really dumb at that point. So that's your run. Other little tips that I can think of right off the top, as soon as you spawn into the world, the first thing you should do is find the nearest NPC you can attack to suicide yourself to get into your newbie zone and actually start killing mobs. Remember when I talked about how you can preset your UI? You can also preset your hotkeys, which means if you know what your name and every character in your group's name is going to be, you can have a hotkey that is literally 6 lines of invite so-and-so, invite so-and-so. So you press one button, everybody's in the group. So that's my little guide for you on how to successfully try to set up your group to rush 1 through 50 on Classic.